All right, Anthony Hemingway, you have been really busy this past year. You've directed 4 episodes of Underground and 5 episodes of The People versus O.J. Simpson, which are two of the most highly talked about shows of the year. You're a big TV vet and you go from show to show. Did you know there was something special about these two that they were going to spark so much conversation from people?
You never really know. You want it to do those things, but you just never really know. I think for me, and when I somewhat come about choosing the material that I do love, much like Underground and The People versus O.J. Simpson, it's something inside of me that just kind of triggers, and it feels good, and it's like a good time. It's it's a high, and I feel I've hit the vein. I'm in it. So it's something about it that really starts to let you know that there's something special. I think there's also something that's represented with, or you get from seeing the people that are coming on board. And I think all of that is confirmation to you that there is something going on here, whether you really kind of understand the magnitude of what it is or fully what you're doing. And I think at least you just hope that everyone is engaged in the story and the material as much as you are, because for me, it's really about the material. And if it's on the page and it's something that I feel that I can connect to and collaborate and contribute to it. And both of these did it. I mean, I think one, it's interesting because in each one independently, I had questions at first. I think with Underground, the first thing was why another slave narrative, much like I think a lot of viewers. And literally page 1 for me on the script answered that question for me. And I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was. I see that they are planning to defy what people are thinking. And it answered quickly by the time I've completed the script what I was getting into. Much like OJ, I think I wanted to know why now, why this story. And once I sat down with Scott and Larry, like those questions got answered for me. So I'm happy to be on board both.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, because both of these shows defy expectations in their own ways. I mean, Underground is such a vibrant, energetic retelling of a subject that we think that we've seen everything there is to see about it, but we really haven't. Same thing with People versus O.J. Simpson. I mean, this is a show that takes this tabloidy, trashy material that we think we know everything about and burrows underneath and finds all the different nuances to it. So let's talk about Underground first. You directed the first 4 episodes of that. What about it really leapt up out of the page for you? And because you were only supposed to do, what, the first episode or 2?
The first 2. It was the pilot and then the second episode. And, honestly, when I first met on the project and really understood how special it was, I wanted the whole thing. I wanted to do what True Detective had done, and really kind of look at this more as a film, and be a part of really telling this story in completion. So I had the great crazy idea when I first met on it I want to do them all. And because of timing, and I guess it just wasn't meant for me to do them all, it didn't work out. But it was just, I think, to realize that I got to be a part of a telling of a story that for me, I really relate and connect with. As a young individual, I know that for my own past, that I constantly wanted to find those connections and references for me in life and history that kind of answered or spoke to me. It gave me a point of reference of knowing that the strength that is innately within me, whether it came from my parents or generations past that, I wasn't seeing those images. And to really kind of have the opportunity to really portray and give a platform for the brilliance and resilience within you know, these humans and the humanity within it as well. It was, you know, and within anything that I do, it was almost like my favorite superhero telling of a dramatic narrative. And it was fun, it was exciting, entertaining. And at the end of that, you know, viewing, you really walk away impacted and affected. And I think with any material that I do, I love that it really has a purpose and a meaning behind it. And I think that was really something that is special and so evident. And, you know, to see the success that it has gained already makes me really proud to know that people really got off their seat and really kind of checked their pride or ego at the door and allowed themselves the experience and opportunity to witness and be affected by it.
Mm-hmm. So talk about in those first 4 episodes establishing the visual style of this show. You know, thoughts, ideas that you had.
You know, one, in doing a pilot to a new series is so stressful. You know, you have a lot of responsibility in really creating that language and trying to really kind of target all the right elements in terms of being engaging, entertaining, you know, the right casting, the tone, the feel, the greatest visual experience that you can, you know, make. And it was just great just to know that this piece of material that's really a part of history that is so unknown, really, it's not really taught. For me, even coming in high school, it was that paragraph in your history book that is glossed over and you really don't at all get the opportunity to understand its fullness and greatness. And so to know that I had this opportunity in the style and fashion that Misha Green and Joe Pekaski, the creators of the show, wanted, they wanted it to be bold. And that's all you have to say to me is give me that green light to really kind of stretch myself and to bleed for you. I'll bleed for my art. And I didn't mind the blood, sweat, and tears that had to go into it. So I wanted to find every chance and opportunity that I could that continued to speak to that. And from the page, which for me is where it starts, I was inspired to keep dreaming. And I wanted a visual experience that continued to defy what anyone thought. I didn't want to, I think we're naturally, we start in a place of kind of knowing what it's the rules in the box of you know, these things that we you know, we learn and we do many, many times before, of knowing that this period and this narrative lives within a certain frame, and whether it's desaturated or, you know, it's just a certain pacing. And I wanted to completely implode that and forget those rules or fundamentals. Because to me, one, this is something that, you know, people don't really know. So I wanted to come at it with a fresh voice and just a new approach. And it was all of those things that continued to inspire me to keep thinking, you know, and I just wanted to keep digging just to find the color palette that's not used in this world, and really kind of entertain those ideas at the same time as find the fun contemporary approaches to action or thriller or drama and try to apply that to this narrative as well. And it was just really finding out that connection, which is why even they wanted somewhat of a contemporary sound with it. I just wanted to continue to push myself in those ways of just thinking out of the box. And it was fun. It was just a really great exercise and exploration, and, you know, successful. It was definitely risky because there were times that I kept thinking like, oh my God, people are going to call us on this. Like, they're going to be, you know, times even if I was reading it, I couldn't believe, because you just find things a lot of times that you just had never seen, and it's new information to you. And so to realize that even beyond what I already knew in terms of the ingenuity that they had of even using, you know, natural elements to operate, whether it was dyeing their clothes with flowers and plants, you know, all those things kind of continue to inspire me to realize that anything was possible. So it was fun.
Yeah, and it comes across that way too in the show. I mean, I remember watching the premiere of the pilot, you know, and right from the get-go, with Aldous running through the woods and the Kanye West music is playing under him and the camera's like rushing past him and there's all this quick cutting. You're like, wow, this is really different from what you expect, you know, like it's really bold. And then like the next few episodes too, there's this amazing mixture of, well, all the episodes are, this amazing mixture of entertainment and social consciousness, you know, because it's really about something. You know, I think that's what's really great about the show, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I love also, is that this was an experience that definitely started at the top. Misha and Joe fostered an environment that allowed everyone to contribute honestly. And that's just special. Like, you rarely have those chances, you know, in filmmaking, where you really are allowed to have a voice. And I think everyone wanted to contribute because we realized how important, how special it was. And we wanted it to really relate to where we are today. And that was the great opportunity. I think, you know, you really have this thing that is rooted, the story that's rooted in history and has its own, you know, message or you know, conversation that can also uphold and withstand to today. And just finding those commonalities was the really, it wasn't hard to find because we realized where we are and even how far we still have to go, but it was nice to kind of connect the dots, and just to really share in today's plight, you know, if you will, and realize that, you know, we can learn from them, you know, use them as a blueprint in terms of realizing that, you know, they really fought to be revolutionary and just not accepting no from someone who really can't give you a yes. It's that kind of mentality. It's just to really keep striving to hit home runs. And that was it was inspiring to know that that story was what was our mission and our inspiration day to day.
Mm-hmm. So then moving into the People versus O.J. Simpson, which is a show that you directed 5 episodes of. Ryan Murphy directed another 4, and then John Singleton directed the last one. You've got this great 10-hour narrative that you're working within, and there's all these incredible themes. You know, these 2 shows are kind of similar in some of the themes that they explore, racism and, you know, OJ is obviously more contemporary. It's set 20 years ago, right. You know. So talk about getting involved with that, and then, you know, coming on to something where your first episode you directed was the 3rd episode, I think. So they'd already established kind of what the style of the show was going to be. So talk about adapting your style to that and then making it your own.
Well, one, I have to say, and I give thanks to Ryan Murphy because he's the type of filmmaker and artist that really respects another artist, and he really wants you to contribute to something. You're not there just to kind of, you know, be handcuffed or be a puppet. And that's really inspiring. And I really enjoy working with other collaborators that way, knowing that I had this opportunity first coming into it with my own reservations, just in terms of not really knowing, like I said earlier, why we're telling this story. And once I kind of understood why, again, it allowed me to realize that I can, I think, really add something here. Just being where I am in my life, my career, my own observation, my own conflict with where we are, and my own really desire for the change that we need allows me to really kind of fly. And to have this experience where Ryan, again, really fosters this, where we all are able to really come to work and deliver something. He wants it. He expects nothing less. It was really amazing. And again, you know, I think sometimes we get lost in terms of thinking that there is a particular quote unquote structured style to something. But my own opinion and feeling is as, you know, you look at this whole pie and this whole story and realize within even OJ, for instance, each of this 10-hour storytelling is different. It has a different focus. So as much as that arc changes or each hour of that 10-hour is really kind of geared to focus on something different, to me, so its style should. There is a certain tone to it, I think, that is created that you respect and you continue, that isn't going to change. And I think everyone involved makes sure it doesn't change. But, you know, that's to me where it does, again, start on the page. As for instance, what I kind of felt and the way I approached episode 3 was different than I did episode 4, because they both had two different kind of focuses. So it's really just kind of understanding what each moment, each scene is really saying is how I approach the material. You know, because it all changes. I mean, as well balanced as OJ was handling the, you know, absurd humor and the drama, and, you know, it was a really mix of the complexities of life. And to me, it was just trying to find those balances and figuring out how I approached each moment.
Right, absolutely. I mean, each episode does have its own individual arc, and I think what's great about this show is that each episode almost has a different theme. You know, I mean, there's so many different things that the show deals with: gender politics, racism, the criminal justice system, the media, celebrity, and each episode really delves into that. And some of them may focus more on Johnny Cochran, some of them may focus more on Marcia Clark, some of them may focus more on OJ, but, you know, each one of them is a part of this greater whole, but each one of them stands out in a way.
Yeah, and even moments like that, like depending on the episode, like if it was a focus on Johnny Cochran, I allowed that character's, you know, characteristics or that character's, you know, essence to really kind of drive me. So, you know, if Johnny had that swag, you know, and that energy with it, I wanted to keep that driving it, you know, and have that feeling, whether it was in the movement of the camera style or the energy of the pacing or whatever it is. I think, you know, all those things for me are what really motivates or inspires me to make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the last episode that you did of that show, which was Manna from Heaven, which is about the Mark Furman tapes. And, you know, I remember watching that episode and thinking, wow, this is really fantastic, you know, because like it all starts to, everything that you've seen being built up from episode 1 is starting to come to fruition in episode 9, you know, and then episode 10 is really great in the way that it pays everything off. But, you know, just talk a bit more about that episode. What were the ideas behind that for you?
Well, I remember, it's funny, like the one thing that comes to my mind with that episode was how wonderful Sterling Brown was, who played Chris Darden. And I remember telling him, I was such a fan, even the entire season of everyone, but like in him in particular, I remember reading this episode and saying, wow. Like literally, like I did what Courtney did, like, you know, the whole Manna from Heaven, like, you know, I knew this guy giving me a gift. I went to Scott and Larry and was like, you guys have outdone yourselves. Like, this is really special. This episode really culminates the season. It really, really represents the whole story. Like, it did it so beautifully and wonderfully. And, you know, of course, that was exciting to have. And again, back to Sterling, I told him, I said, everything that you've been all the seeds you've been planting throughout the season is about to be paid off. Like, you are about to beast this episode. And it was so much fun watching him do it. And for everyone, really, and realizing that that one story or that hour really, I think, kind of fairly dealt with everything that we had been dealing with over the course of the season. So it was something for me that I was like, okay, this is gold, and I'm gonna figure out how I'm hitting this home run. Like, I'm not striking out on this one. I tried to do that with all of them, but it was this particular one because of the story and what it meant to the whole piece. Just kind of really allowed me to sit in it and really just try to, I don't know, kind of swag it out, because again, that's what it was. I was looking at all these forces come together and the explosion within that, and how these characters collided, and it just had so much energy, and I wanted to continue to definitely honor that and find out how I could elevate it if I could. So it was wonderful. It still makes me smile. Like, I remember finishing that script and going into the writer's office and just standing there in awe of just like, thank you. I was about, this is awesome.
You know, so are you going to come back for both of these shows in the next seasons?
I am. It's funny. I'm actually in preparation right now to start season 2 of Underground.
Okay.
And thankfully, there's no conflict, so I'll be there for the entire season this year. I'm not directing them all, but I'll be helping produce it. So, and then right after that, I go into American Crime Story season 2.
And that's going to be centering in on Hurricane Katrina, right? That's
correct.
Yeah.
Which is news that I've been standing for a while. Having done HBO Treme, I'm familiar with that culture and how special it is. So that's exciting to want to kind of tell a different side of that story.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you've had such a wide variety of credits in television. I just want to read off some of the ones you've done. The Wire, Treme, as you mentioned, True Blood, American Horror Story, The Newsroom, Empire, Shameless, Orange is the New Black, Heroes, ER, The Closer. Talk about, just going from show to show. You get to work in a wide variety of genres and styles. I mean, is that exciting for you as a director?
It's extremely exciting. I mean, one, for me, it kind of defies the thinking that we live in a box, and because, some may see you in one lane and, to think that you're only allowed or can do that one lane. I think, it shakes that up. And I love the fact that being able to kind of play in the different genres, one, allows me to see, what commonalities, if there are, between the worlds. And realize that I think it is indicative of just kind of life and how, there are different cultures and elements and different facets and within this world, and we all live in it together and move and vibrate together. So it's fun to stretch myself in those ways of just playing. I've learned a lot about myself, really, because some of them, like sci-fi, I never thought was really my cup of tea. But I've realized how in the storytelling of that world that you can really explore something without judgment and let things be revealed. And that's fun and exciting for me. So I've learned to love it in so many ways, and visually it's fun. So that's the fun thing also too, just being able to tell all these stories in different styles and just kind of dream. It's like, you know, having your best coloring book and just continuing, you know, the biggest box of crayons, even the crazy colors that they've added in you know, the recent years. It's just being able to have fun. You don't only have red, blue, green, brown, you know, what we started with.
Yeah.
You know, as a child, now I have the, you know, strawberry banana color and all that stuff. So it's just fun to be able to play in the different mediums. It's a pleasure. Yeah,
and there's a real art to TV directing now. You know, it's really kind of very similar to film directing these days. You know, I mean, it used to be that if you worked in television, it was sort of a step down from working in movies. But now you've got movie people going to TV, TV people going to movies, and you know, so it's a really exciting time to work in it, wouldn't you say?
It is, and it's definitely harder. You know, you don't have the luxury or liberties that you would in film all the time. So it charges you to really continue to follow and go with your instinct and think quickly, and that's fun for me because I've always found that feeling or that thought or decision has always been the best for me, even if I tried to venture out of it. And the opportunity to have the platform of telling these awesome stories in a longer form, you get to really tell the story truthfully instead of it being, you know, leaning in any way or the other for various reasons. But it's just really great to be able to work with all the talent that I'm getting to work with, both in front of and behind the camera. It's been really awesome. I mean, I'm hungry for another film, but TV has definitely satisfied that that passion and that art hunger that I have.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on all your work this year. And it was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Stay cool.
You too.